Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading today from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 1, Text 23. Vasudeva Grihe Saksat Bhagavan Purusha Para Janishyate Tat Priyatam Sambhavantu Surastriya Vasudeva Grihe Sakshat Bhagavan Purusha Para Janishyate Tat Priyatam Sambhavantu Surastriya Vasudeva Grihe Sakshat Bhagavan Purusha Para Janishyate Tat Priyatam Surastriya
Sambhavantu Surastriya Vasudeva Sakshat Bhagavan Purusha Para Janishyate Tat Priyatam Sambhavantu Surastriya
Vasudevagriye Sakshat Bhagavan Purusha Para Nishyate Tat Priyatam Sambhavantu Surastriya Vasudevagriye Sakshat Bhagavan Purusha Para Janishyate Tat Priyatam
Sambhavantu Sustricha.
Sambhavantu Sudashriya.
Vasudeva Grihe. In the house of Vasudeva,
In the house of Vasudeva.
who would become the father of Krishna when the Lord appeared.
When the Lord appeared.
Sakshat,
Sakshat.
personally.
Personally.
Bhagavan,
Bhagavan.
the Supreme Personality of Godhead,
Supreme Personality of Godhead.
who has full potency.
Who has full potency.
Purusha,
Purusha.
the original person.
The original person.
Paraha,
Paraha.
who is transcendental.
Who is transcendental.
Janishate,
Janishate.
will appear.
Appear.
Tadpriyatam,
Tadviyata.
and for his satisfaction.
And
For
for
his
his
satisfaction.
Sambhavantu,
Sambhavantu.
should take birth.
Should take birth.
Surastriya,
Surasya.
all the wives of the demigods.
All the wife of the demigods.
Translation purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna, who has full potency, will personally appear as the son of Vasudeva. Therefore, all the wives of the demigods should also appear in order to satisfy him. Purport. In Bhagavad Gita 4:9, the Lord says, Chaktva deham punajanma naitimam eti. After giving up the material body, the devotee of the Lord returns home back to Godhead. This means that the devotee is first transferred to the particular universe where the Lord is at that time staying to exhibit his pastimes. There are innumerable universes, and the Lord is appearing in every one of these universes at every moment. The Lord is appearing in one of these universes at every moment. Therefore, his pastimes are called Nitya Leela, eternal pastimes. The Lord's appearance as a child in the house of Devaki takes place continuously in one universe after another. Therefore, the devotee is first transferred to that particular universe where the pastimes of the Lord are current. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, even if a devotee does not complete the course of devotional service, he enjoys the happiness of the heavenly planets where the most pious people dwell, and then takes birth in the house of a Shichi or a Shriman, a pious Brahmana or a wealthy Vaishya. Suchinam Shimatam Gehe Yoga Brasta Vijayate. Thus, a pure devotee, even if unable to execute devotional service completely, is transferred to the upper planetary system where pious people reside. From there, if his devotional service is complete, such a devotee is transferred to the place where the Lord's pastimes are going on. Herein it is said, Sambhavanti Surastriya. Surastri, the women of the heavenly planets, were thus ordered to appear in the Yadu dynasty in Vrindavan to enrich the pastimes of Lord Krishna. These Surastri, when further trained to live with Krishna, will be transferred to the original Goloka Vrindavan during the Lord Krishna's pastimes within this world. The Surastri were to appear in different ways in different families to give pleasure to the Lord, just so that they would be fully trained before going to the eternal Goloka Vrindavan. With the association of Lord Krishna, either at Dwarka, Puri, Mathura, Puri or Vrindavan, they would certainly return home back to Godhead. Among the Surastri, the women of the heavenly planets, there are many devotees, such as a mother of the Upendra incarnation, Who knows who Upendra is? Upendra. It's another name for Vamanadev. So his mother was Aditi, so that's Aditi who will be referred to. It was such devoted women who were called for in this connection. Namaste Saraswati Devi Bhagavati So Lord Brahma is speaking to the other demigods. He's relaying the message from Lord Vishnu, saying that Krishna will appear. The earth is disturbed. She's very upset. In the form of a cow, she has tears in her eyes, and she's suffering because of the demoniac activity of the asuras. But Lord Brahma is relaying the message that it's all right because Krishna will come soon. And here it says, specifically, he will appear, the son of Vasudeva, and the demigods' wives should also appear in the Yadu dynasty. So everything is being very nicely managed, very nicely organized. But in the Bhagavad, in the purport, Prabhupada immediately quotes the Bhagavad Gita 4.9. So I'll read from that verse. Because it speaks about the qualification for going back to Godhead. Jamma kama chame divyam evam yo vetitakvataha chakvadeham punajama naiti ramati sojana. This is one of the verses you have to learn for your Bhakti Shastri. You know this verse?
Of course.
Very good. Very good. Of course. Why should I ask even? One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving this body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode. The Lord's descent from his transcendental abode is already explained in the 6th verse. One who can understand the truth of the appearance and personality of Godhead is already liberated from material bondage. So if you really understand that Krishna's a person and he has transcendental activities, if you fully realize this, you've already gone back to Godhead. It means you're not an impersonalist, you're not a yogi, you actually have faith. You have pure Vaishnava faith in Krishna. It's not just, oh yes, Krishna, yes, I know he has pastimes in Vrindavan and he kills Putana and he kills Agasura and he dances with the gopis, so yes, I'm qualified to go back to Godhead. I know about Krishna's pastimes. But you actually have to realize Krishna and his position and your relationship and the absolute truth in all the different dimensions as far as we are able. One who can understand the truth of the appearance of the personality of Godhead is already liberated and therefore returns to the kingdom of God immediately after quitting this present body, material body. Such liberation of the living entity from material bondage is not at all easy. The impersonalists and the yogis attain liberation only after much trouble and many, many births. Even then, the liberation they achieve, merging into the impersonal Brahma Jyoti, is only partial. They don't go back to the Goloka Vrindavan. They don't go to the spiritual world to be with Krishna, the person Krishna. They merge. And that's only temporary. Because just merging is not interesting actually. It's a relief from the suffering of material existence, but it's not interesting. So eventually you fall back down into the material world. Prabhupada says, the liberation is only partial, and there's risk of returning to this material world. But the devotee, simply by understanding the transcendental nature of the body and activities of the Lord, attains the abode of the Lord. So he actually becomes transcendental to this material world. You know, the yogis and the impersonalists, they still have selfish desires, they still have material desires, so they're not fully qualified. With a devotee, he's absorbed in Krishna, service to Krishna. But you have to be Bhakti-mama Vijayanti. Bhakti-mama Vijayanti. You only can understand Krishna by being a servant of Krishna. That's the only way you can understand him. So to understand the nature of his pastimes and activities, you have to be a devotee. And then Krishna reciprocates and takes you out of the material body, out of the material world. And when you go to the material spiritual world with Krishna, to be with Lord Krishna, he says, you do not run the risk of returning. So why do you not run the risk of returning?
Why do you what?
Why is there no chance to come back?
When we go there?
When we go to Goloka Vrindavan, it's so nice, huh? It's just so nice. So nice to be with Krishna.
So why?
We've already been here once, we've had a taste of material life. We don't come again. But the impersonalists and the yogis, they don't have that taste of the relationship with Krishna, that sweetness, so they fall back into the material world. They usually, Prabhupada says, they become these great philanthropists, people who open hospitals and schools like that. It is in the Brahma Samhita, it is stated that the Lord has many, many forms and incarnations. Although there are many transcendental forms of Krishna, they are still one and the same Supreme Personality of Godhead. One has to understand this fact with conviction. Although it is incomprehensible to mundane scholars and empiric philosophers, the one Supreme Personality of Godhead is eternally engaged in many, many transcendental forms in relationships with his unalloyed devotees. One person is engaged in many, many transcendental forms in relationships with his unalloyed devotees. So Prabhupada said that in the purport. He said how Krishna is appearing in one universe after another. So he's always appearing somewhere. And he's having a relationship with so many different devotees. And he's simultaneously in everyone's heart, and he's simultaneously in the spiritual world. In Goloka Vrindavan, he's simultaneously in every atom. But specifically what Krishna likes is these relationships with his devotees. So to go back to the purport, so it says, when the devotee goes back home, when he understands the pastimes, activities of the Lord, he goes back to Godhead. But first of all, the first thing that happens is that you are transferred to the particular universe where the Lord is staying at that time to exhibit his pastimes. Now, we would not get that information anywhere else. No? Who would tell us what happens when we go back to Godhead? Or even about going back to Godhead, or how to do it. So the information, now we get transferred to where Krishna is actually appearing. So somewhere Krishna is taking birth from David. and somewhere he's Bhagavati, etc., and somewhere he's killing Putana, and somewhere he's killing Agasura, and somewhere he's killing Kamsa, and somewhere the rasa dance is going on. Like this is all. So that's why, because they're always going on in one universe or another, sequentially is always lifting over downhill somewhere. Yeah. So he's having, as Prabhupada said in that other purport, that he's always having these relationships, quoting Bhagavatam, but he's always having relationships with so many different of his, he's one person but having many, many relationships with many, many of his devotees. So so that's an amazing information to have, that we will be transferred to a particular universe where the Lord is staying, and then that there are innumerable universes.
And you talk about the material universes?
Yes, because these are about Krishna's. It says the devotee is first transferred to the particular universe where the Lord is at that time staying to exhibit his pastimes. Yeah, my understanding is it's material universes, because we know there are unlimited material universes. The scientists speculate now, they have this speculation that there's a multiverse.
I've heard about that.
Yeah, you heard of it. Yeah, but the different scientists have different speculations on what it actually might mean. But so they say, because life is, they're atheist scientists, but they say because life evolved in this universe is special, but it must have happened by chance, because there is no God. So in order for it to have happened by chance in this particular universe, there must be a lot of universes with different criteria, different sets of physical laws and different constants. And it just happens that this is the one where all everything was fine-tuned in just the right way for life to arise. That's why they want to have a multiverse. That's they have a theoretical need for a multiverse, because it supports their theory that life arose by chance. But what they don't know is that there are innumerable universes, but each one is perfect for life. All of them. All of them are exactly right for life. They may not all be the same, but they all have, they're all teeming with living entities.
Yeah, the universe is made for life.
Yes.
It's a bed for life.
All the people who fall out of the spiritual world, if you put them somewhere, they have all these universes.
Yeah.
And then Krishna visits all the universes with his pastimes to give them a chance to rectify themselves. But scientists don't, that's some mythology, no. They don't accept. But if we just instead of accepting the authority of scientists, we accept the authority of the Bhagavatam, then we have perfect knowledge. So there are innumerable universes, and Lord Krishna is appearing in one of these universes with every moment. The Lord's appearance as a child in the house of Devaki takes place continuously in one universe after another. Therefore, the devotee is first transferred to that. So why are we transferred to that universe? Is to get further training. Yeah? We've got purification. We've become purified in this world, but we still need to be trained. Like somebody, this is just an example on what we can relate to, is somebody may take Brahmin initiation. Yeah, yes, now I have Brahmin initiation. So I'm to dress the deities, and but actually they need to be trained how to dress the deities. You don't just walk in and start putting Radha on your skirt on. You have to be trained. So we need to be trained how to behave when we go back to the spiritual world. So the first stage is that go to the universe where Krishna's pastimes are going on. So it seems here, when Prabhupada is saying the ladies of the demigods' wives are being told to appear where Krishna is in the Yadu dynasty for the sake of Krishna's pastimes. It seems that these ladies, the demigods' wives, are these pure devotees who are ready to go back to Godhead because they're being invited to take part in the Lord's pastimes. So they must be the ones who are ready. Yeah? And then you serve Krishna and get more training, and then they're qualified to go back to the Lord of Vrindavan because they're associating with Krishna. Seems like that's what it seems like to me. Okay, so that's if you've become fully purified. You get transferred. But, as stated in Bhagavad Gita, even if a devotee does not complete the course of devotional service, he enjoys the happiness of heavenly planets. So Prabhupada was asked about the destination of his disciples, and he said a lot of his disciples went to the heavenly planets. When Jayananda left his body, because he left his body, he was a very, very dear disciple of Srila Prabhupada. He left his body and Prabhupada was still on the planet. He died of cancer. And where did he go? Prabhupada said, well, he either went to the heavenly planets or back to Godhead. But judging by the service he did and how much Prabhupada was pleased with him, one would think, one could speculate that he went back to Godhead. But you can go back to Godhead from the heavenly planets even if you become purified. But anyway, so we read the verse Prabhupada quotes or refers to. Does he actually? No, he just refers to it. He refers to this verse. It says, a devotee does not finish his devotional service. He enjoys the happiness of heavenly planets where the pious people dwell, and then takes birth in the house of a pious Brahmin or a wealthy Vaishya. Thus, a pure devotee, even if unable to execute devotional service complete. It's interesting there, Prabhupada says, thus a pure devotee, even if unable to execute devotional service completely. On the one hand, he's pure, but he's not able to execute full devotional service. So what does that mean? You think if he's pure, he would do complete devotional service, but Prabhupada is using the term pure, meaning somebody who has no other motive. He doesn't have another, still has some material desires, but his motive is to serve Krishna. That's his only motivation. He wants to serve Krishna, but he's not fully pure yet. So if he doesn't make it in this life, he's transferred to the upper planetary system where pious people reside. From there, if his devotional service is complete, such a devotee is transferred to the place where Lord Krishna's pastimes are going on. We just read that verse because it could be relevant. It could be relevant for some of us. I'm getting to the end of my life and I'm thinking, oh no, not another life. Yeesh. Does anybody know this verse? It's in the 6th chapter. 641. Prapya puna krita lokam ushidva shashvati sama shuchinam shrimatam gehe yoga prasta vijayate. Prabhupada would often quote that one line, Shuchinam shrimatam gehe. In the house of a Suchi, a Brahmin, or a Shrimatam, a rich man. Gehe, it's the same word as there. Oh, Vasudev Gehe. Oh no, is it Grihe? Grihe. Okay. Translation. The unsuccessful yogi, after many, many years of enjoyment on the planets of the pious living entities, here yogi means Bhakti yogi. The unsuccessful yogi, after many, many years of enjoyment on the planets of the pious living entities, is born into a family of righteous people or into a family of rich aristocracy. So So there's quite a few wealthy people who come to ISKCON. Yeah. Most notably, we have Alfred Ford, isn't he, who's donating millions to the project, to build a planetarium, temple of the Vedic planetarium in Mayapur. Imagine being able to donate millions of dollars.
Prabhupada was an aristocrat.
Hmm?
Prabhupada was an aristocrat also.
Yes, Prabhupada was born in his father was pure devotee. Yeah. But yes, aristocratic. He said, I had all opportunity to break all four regulative principles. He said, but I did not do it. Young successful yogis are divided into two classes. Okay? One is fallen after very little progress, and one is fallen after a long practice. So somebody may serve for many years but not make it, and somebody may serve for a little while and is never lost. Whatever devotional service you do, that's a different verse. Whatever devotional service you do, Nahabikram Nasosti, nothing's lost. So whatever we do materially is lost. You know, we don't take the money with us, or we don't take our good looks with us, or we don't take our wife or our husband or our car, our beloved car. We don't take our car or a tractor or a nice house. We don't take anything with us when we die. Last shirt has no pockets. That's a saying in English. But you do take your spiritual credit with you. You take all your spiritual credit, all the things that you've done.
But when you use your car for Krishna, like Baptists do it attend for us.
Then Krishna will give him a better car.
To destroy.
Well, right now I'm not going to give you a better car because you will just wreck it. No. Now we get a very good car. Or chariot, maybe.
But
I can't remember what I was saying. Okay, so there's two sorts of people. So some people just do a little devotional service and then they go away. But Krishna doesn't forget. They may even forget. But Krishna doesn't forget that somebody did some service to him. And they're able to go to the heavenly planets because of that great punya. Punya means pious credit. Indian people, they always like punya because it means they will enjoy. And pap means sinful activities, it means you will suffer. Okay, so after prolonged life, that means millions of years by our standards in the heavenly planet, you're sent back to this planet to take birth in a family of a righteous Brahmin, a Vaishnava. So our future is not that bad. Either we go back to Godhead, or we go to the heavenly planets, either way. I mean, it's a big difference. There's like no comparison really between going back to Godhead and going to the heavenly planets, but still, Krishna's taking care of us. He's making arrangements for our future training. The real purpose of yoga practice is to achieve the highest perfection of Krishna consciousness. But those who do not persevere to such an extent and fail due to the material allurements are allowed, by the grace of the Lord, to make full utilization of the material propensities. And after that, they are given opportunities to live prosperous lives in the righteous aristocratic families. Yes, so there are some very rich people, some very wealthy people, and they are given that birth by Krishna. They're given an opportunity by Krishna. And after that, they are given opportunities to live prosperous lives. Those who are born in such families may take advantage of the facilities and try to elevate themselves to full Krishna consciousness. So that is the idea, is that you don't just enjoy your pious credits in the material world when you come back from the heavenly planets. The idea is that now, you've got a good situation. You're not so anxious about your material well-being, like your material maintenance. So please now, practice Krishna consciousness. And so many young people now are joining ISKCON. There's so many young people coming. It could be that they're just popped out of the heavenly planets and here they are walking to ISKCON and they pick up the big bag and carry on. Yeah, because they could have been around already. Herein it is said, Sambhavanti Surastriya. Surastri, the women of the heavenly planets, they're said to be thousands of times more beautiful than the women on this planet. Somebody very, very beautiful. Thousands of times more beautiful. I think the men also.
Hopefully, yeah.
Very good looking. So the ladies of the heavenly planets were ordered to appear in the Yadu dynasty in Vrindavan. So Krishna is known as Yaduvira. Yes, that's Krishna's name. Hero of the Yadu dynasty. Yadu Nandan, the delight of the Yadu dynasty. And his mother, Yadu Rani or Jadu Rani. That was the first name Prabhupada gave his first female disciple, Yadu Rani. These Surastri, when further trained to live with Krishna, will be transferred to the original Goloka Vrindavan. During Krishna's pastimes within this world, the Surastri were to appear in different ways in So when it says to appear in different ways in different families, that means to have different roles, different roles, to give pleasure to the Lord, just so they would be fully trained before going to the eternal Goloka Vrindavan with the association of the Lord, either Dwarka, Mathura or Vrindavan. So Krishna's pastimes in this world, there's three categories. Dwarka, Mathura and Vrindavan. So where did he spend more time? In Dwarka, in Mathura or in Vrindavan?
Dwarka.
Dwarka, very good. He's been reading the books.
Yeah.
He spent much more time. Most of his life he spent in Dwarka. Dwarkadish. The deity in Los Angeles is called Dwarkadish. And all three pastimes are different. It's still Krishna, but it's the real, what we can say, the real Krishna, the original Krishna is Krishna in Vrindavan. So as Gaudiya Vaishnavas, aspiring Gaudiya Vaishnavas, we aspire to go to Vrindavan. Sometimes I think it would be nice to go to Dwarka. I would be a queen, and have a palace. Sometimes I think that would be very nice to have a big palace and all opulence. But this, the sweetness and the intimacy of Vrindavan is not the same. Even when there's one book, I don't remember the name of it, by Rupa Goswami. But Krishna is actually in the pastimes of Krishna, he's in Dwarka. And when he's in Dwarka, he is lamenting because he's so much missing Vrindavan. And he's calling out for the gopis even in his sleep. And he's fretting because he misses the gopis and he knows the gopis are missing him, and it's this very emotional. Of course, separation is more powerful than meeting. The emotion of separation is more powerful than meeting. So that's why these things are arranged. But Krishna, it seemed that even though he was unable to go back to Vrindavan, he would prefer to be in Vrindavan. I don't know so much about these things, but those are the three different categories in the spiritual world. They're here in this world, they manifest here in this world, Krishna's Leela, these three different places. And also when you go back to the spiritual world, actually three different locations in the spiritual world. When you see that big map, there's a big huge map with all the different levels of existence, and at the top is the spiritual world, and it shows there's the Mathura section and Goloka Vrindavan and the Dwarka section. And each part has its particular devotees who relate with Krishna in the pastimes in those particular places. There's Mother Yashoda is in Dwarka, or Uddhava is in Mathura, and then at Kurukshetra again, it's different. This is with the Pandavas. So Krishna has so many different pastimes, and he has different devotees. Relates with different devotees in the different pastimes. So each particular person has a particular relationship with Krishna. You have a particular rasa, and a particular place that you relate with Krishna. So we aspire that it might be Vrindavan that we will go eventually when we're purified. It might be, hopefully we hope to go to Vrindavan. But we don't know, and we already have our eternal relationship with Krishna. It will be revealed. It used to be that when you got initiated, they would tell you your eternal relationship with Krishna.
What?
It used to be. It used to be in the past.
Mm-hmm.
When you got initiated, your name is Burfi Das, and then you would get your and your eternal swarup is
The Buffy.
a Burfi. Yes, you're a Burfi. You are a brick in the spiritual world, or
Is that still like that?
as a Shantavas. No, because it got stopped because it became bogus. People were just people were not pure enough to say to actually Bhaktisiddhanta stopped it.
Why they did that actually?
Huh?
Prabhupada never did something.
No, because it's not.
This person.
It would be nice, but Prabhupada he was not teaching in a way to be sensational. He was bringing people from the very lowest level of, uncultured people,
Consciousness.
up to the level of human beings, and then up to a higher level of, being able to chant 16 rounds and become spiritually purified. And he was preaching to a different milieu, if you like. Bhaktisiddhanta was preaching to people who were already somewhat civilized. They knew about varnashram, cow protection, and the guru, respect the guru, protect the cow. They knew about prasadam and temples and deity worship and Ratha Yatra. Those are the people that Bhaktisiddhanta. But Prabhupada was preaching into the hippies, who thought that intoxication and sex were the goal of life. That's what they thought. So they needed, you can't tell people like that. They don't even understand the concept. They won't understand. And anyway, back to Vinod Thakur, I don't know whether he actually did it. Whether he initiated people. I think so, but it was stopped anyway. That practice of telling people what their swarup was stopped because people were not qualified to give. that information or not qualified to receive it or to do the right. If they still do it in Radhakund, some Radhakund Babajis will still do it. I had a story, whether it's a true story, but switch off the phone and tell the story. You switch this off.
No. Go ahead.
No, I'm caught. But there was a story that the one man, he was in Radhakund, yeah, and he was being a devotee, but he went and he took initiation from one Babaji, and the Babaji said, yes, now you're initiated and you are in the spiritual world, you are a peacock. Okay?
Look at him.
And,
Great at me.
but it's not, I don't think it's speculative, you know what I mean? Because later the same day, he went to a different Babaji. He got initiated and then, oh, yes, I can see you are such and such a gopi, you know. Basically, he would get so abused. The practice, I will tell you.
Stone.
Well, but even that in the spiritual world is good.
Yeah,
But it's not. Not what we need to get better, first of all. Hare Krishna. Okay, it's time for breakfast. This is our level. Where is breakfast? Srimad Bhagavatam ki
Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Bhagavati Mataji ki.
Jai.
Chakakata Rumbia Chakipati Mudia Chapasita Namakura Mudia